The next is next lecture is Science of Enlightenment and Immortality. It will be delivered by Sri Kuppusamy Ramasamy. Sri Kuppusamy Ramasamy is a renowned scholar in various Siddhanta, Vedanta, psychology, philosophy, meditation, yoga, pranayama, leadership, behavioral, anxiety, weight loss, and herbal programs. He has learned many techniques and teachings from many masters over the past 55 years, including Vethathiri Maharishi, mother of the Aurobindo Ashram, Yogiram Surat Kumar, Swami Sarvananda, J. Krishnamurti, etc. He's traveled all over the world for the past 20 years to share his knowledge with truth seekers and has extensively visited Malaysia, Australia, Switzerland, Sri Lanka and Singapore for delivering lectures and conferences and educational institutes. He teaches yoga, advanced pranayama called Vasi Yoga, and meditation techniques to the public free of cost. He is currently the secretary of the Suddha Sanmarga Consciousness Institute, working towards the elimination of hunger. As a literary critic and poet, he has given a number of addresses in literary societies. Being a motivational speaker, he has trained several young students in the art of public speaking. He has given English commentaries on the Chinese seer Lao Tzu's book, Tao Te Ching, delivered lectures on Thirukkural, Siddha literature, and Vallalar's Thiru Arpa. And some of these can be seen in YouTube videos and his blog. On this trip, he has already visited Chicago, California, now he's in North Carolina, and we will be going to New Jersey and other places. I welcome Sri Kuppusamy Ayya and
so brothers and so sisters, we thank you all for giving me this opportunity to share my thoughts on the most important thing in a man's life. This is the most important subject in the history of evolution. Enlightenment of consciousness. Dr. Shah started his speech with Aham Brahmasmi. As far as I know, that is the highest wisdom man has discovered so far. That is, I am Brahman. Not in reality now, but in potentiality. But how to translate that idea into reality? That is the question. Everybody knows that potentially every one of us is God. We are all children of God, sons and daughters of God, we know that. But how to make it into a reality? That is the problem. See, at my right side, you see the picture of Vallalar. In his life, he translated Aham Brahmasmi into truth. Kadavul understand the science of Godhead. What does it mean? Not the science of matter or the universe or the Big Bang, but to understand the science of Godhead and attain it. That is, you must understand the nature of God and live it. Live it means you are going to live. It is your birthright to live like God. Being children of God, you can live forever. You can have an immortal body free from disease, old age and death. That is your birthright. That was achieved by Swami Ramalinga Vadalar. And it was done not only in his body, he has given us a complete science in 36 stages. Whoever practices those 36 stages will be transformed into a divine being. That is why it is called science. There are two special words here which are not found in any other schools of thought, which is, see, science. That is different. So far, people, philosophers and religious teachers have always considered this as a kind of yoga, but it is not only yoga. Exactly, it can be done. What is science? Exactness, quantification. Can it be done in so many steps? Anybody should be able to do it. You should be able to do it in Asia, in Europe, in Australia, in any part of the world. Whoever does it in the right way should achieve the right results. That is science. So Swami Vadalar has given us not only a philosophy or yoga, but an exact science of mukti and siddhi, that is enlightenment of consciousness and immortality of the human body. So far, this has not been given. Many people have attempted, many people have prayed for that. Right from time immemorial, man has been aspiring towards such a goal. But how to do it? What is the process? Only if you are able to give it in exact terms, it can be called science. And that is the achievement of Swami Ramalinga Vadalar. Why did I choose Vadalar? It happened so naturally. See, all through my life, from the age of 11, I have been after truth. I am a seeker after truth. Who am I? I am a seeker after truth. I want truth, nothing but the truth, exact truth, not religious truth or philosophical truth or scientific truth. No, the whole truth. I want only the truth. If I find some truth in somebody's teaching, I'll go after him. I'll do whatever is required to serve that person. I will do anything. Even I will get him some. So I have been going around muktas and siddhas and saints and sannyasis all through my life. For the past 55 years, I have been roaming around the world. I have been collecting books, reading them, entering into a relationship with the gurus who can teach me any type of yoga. So I have wasted my life in a way. At least the impression of my family and friends has wasted his life. Otherwise, he could have become a millionaire. Well, I could have become, but this is what gives the satisfaction. I must know what it is meant by life. Why am I here upon this earth? I should find out for myself, not for preaching or teaching. That is secondary, that is different. I should know myself what is meant by life. Why am I here upon this earth? Why am I born here? Particularly in a state of Tamil Nadu. My mother tongue is Telugu, but I was born in Tamil Nadu. And mother Tamil, she has revealed, I believe, much more than she has revealed herself to any of her sons. I love that language so much, not because it's a language, not because of that. It's not only a language for communication, it is an exact system of knowledge, a branch of knowledge, a fund of knowledge like mathematics, physics, chemistry, like that. Tamil is a special kind of knowledge given to this world, like your Windows. What is your Windows? A computer language. It is made for a purpose, to serve an exact purpose. In that way, Tamil was created for teaching mankind the immortality of the body. They call it Saha Kalvi, the education for deathlessness. Most of the saints are called Siddhas in Tamil Nadu, and some 18 Siddhas are famous for that. Actually, there are more than 110 people are there. Then why? What is that particular number? 18. If you read the history of the world, you will come to know the significance of this number. It is not 18, actually it is 10, I'll tell you. You find 80 Siddhas in Tibet. You find 8 immortals in Taoist literature. and you find 18 Siddhas in Tamil Nadu. Padin Enmar. In Tamil it is called Padin Enmar. Padin Sittargal. So what they mean is that again it is given in a Trilite language. Padin En Sittar. Who knows the significance of the number 10? He is a Siddha. It is not 80. Who knows the number and the significance of the number 10? He is a Siddha. See the photograph? Photograph. There is no photograph, there is only a picture. You see on my left, Vedatri Maharishi. What is he wearing? White dhoti and white shirt and yellow shawl. What does it mean? White means number 2, Ukaram. Yellow means number 8. 2 plus 8. What does it make? It makes 10. So he was a Siddha. He had understood the meaning of Agaram and Ukaram. According to the Siddhas, our Shanmastra words. I'll tell you the origin, the theory of origin of the Siddhas. They say, Vadala says, he says, all things in the world, all beings in the world are made up of only 2 things, Agaram and Ugaram, that is 8 plus 8 and 2. But unfortunately, in God's creation, everything is in a raw material stage. You have to separate the 8, Agaram, and you have to separate the Ugaram. After separating them, you have to cleanse them. They are a mixture in a raw form. You have to cleanse them. After cleaning the 8 and 2, you again unite them, and then you get number 10, a new birth. That is called Magaram. So this is the process of creation. When Paravindu and Paranada, Paravindu means Parasakti in mythological terms. Let us forget about mythological terms. We will talk only in scientific terms. Paravindu means light. Para means transcendental light. What are they? According to Swami Vadalar, he says, in the beginning, as according to the Bible, the word was there. In the beginning was the word. And the German poet Goethe, he rephrased it as, in the beginning was the work, effort. No, Vadalar says, in the beginning was compassion. What was in the beginning? The light of compassion was there, because it is the ultimate energy. All through his life, Albert Einstein was trying to unify 4 forces. One is gravitation, another is electromagnetism, the third is weak nuclear force, the fourth is strong nuclear force. He wanted to unify all the 4 into one. All these 4 forces should have sprung from one source. And what was that source? All his life he was trying to find out that source, but unfortunately he failed. Whereas Vadala, long before Einstein had told the world that in the beginning was the light of compassion. The beginning was the light of compassion. And by implication, compassion means it must have somebody else to give what it has got to. It should share its wealth with others by compassion. By implication, the word compassion means arun. So it started creating beings with which it could share all that intelligence, all that power, omniscience, omniscient, everything. All the 8 attributes of God, it wanted to share with beings, so it created out of itself. According to the Vedas, 1/4 of the body of the Purusha, the cosmic person God, was turned into creation. But according to Vadalar Swami says the cosmos is just like the nail of the left toe of the left leg of God. Then how many times bigger than the cosmos would be the body of God? Hundreds of times or more. And he is ever expanding. Swami says, long before this Big Bang theory says, it says the universe is ever expanding. Another thing about the origin of the universe is ever expanding, modern science says. And in 1870s, Vadalar Swami writes, Alga Indri Vogam Arupperanjodi. He says there are only two forces governing in the world. One is algal, it is the law of entropy. Constantly shrinking, everything is going towards death, towards nihilism. The other force is ever expanding. The universe is ever expanding. What is the universe? The body of God. So it is ever expanding. And long before science discovered, Vadalar Swami had said these two things, forces. One is God, that is total life, never-ending life, eternal life, everlasting life, that is 100% light. And what is that light? Light has got three major types. One is physical light, another is subtle light or love, the third is compassion or total 100% light, that is compassion. So God is total compassion. God is total compassion. And what is matter? Matter is, say, about 0.1% light. All matter is condensed light. In between, you have got beings and the words. Certain proportion of darkness and light. Various proportions, computations of light and darkness are beings and the world. So this is the area of Vadalar. Now what is the purpose of evolution? Now he says there are only three stages of evolution. He says self-love. Now where does mankind stand? Right from day one, when the amoeba originated, right from that, for some 3.5 billion years, evolution has been going on according to Darwin. And he says, Vadalar says, accepts it. Yes, it was the survival of fittest until today. Yes, from tomorrow, what happens? It has changed directions. It has gone inside. Now attention is not being focused outside as the animals and plants do. With the man, attention is paid. His attention is going inside. It has turned upon itself. Man has become self-consciousness. So, survival of the fittest is based upon self-love. That is only the first stage. What is the second stage? Human compassion. Manida Dayav. When you attain compassion at the human level, the third stage of God's compassion will automatically descend upon you. You don't have to strive after that. You practice compassion in your life. Be always in a state of compassion. Act only compassionate actions. And all the things, all the benefits of them will be given to you. Stay in Anma Neyam. That is why I address people as universal, soul brothers. We are all soul brothers and soul sisters according to Vadalar, because there is only one Father and we are all children. We are all sisters and brothers only, not only human beings, all beings. All beings are daughters and sons of God, plants, animals, birds, all beings. So we have to learn only one thing, it is Anmani. What is Anmani? Universal love, irrespective of caste, creed, religion, color, gender, species. No, nothing whatsoever should stand in between you and other brothers. There should not be any walls whatsoever. So everybody is living as members of one family. In Sanskrit, they used to say as Vasudeva Kutumba. So we are all members of one family. What is the link? What is the bondage between us? We are all sons and daughters of God. If you can feel that bondage of universal love among all the brothers and sisters of this world, then what happens? What is the Alma Lava? See, profit will automatically accrue to you if you properly invest your attention upon compassion. Then what is that? Immortality. Alma Lavam Maranamila Pervadu. See, you practice Alma Neyam, universal love, and what you gain? Your gain is immortality. And Swami has given us two famous formulas. One is Dhyana Mayamanal Posippu Maru. If you are always in a state of meditation, your very perception will change. Your perception will change. Everything will be tasty. Everything will be beautiful. There is nothing ugly in your eyes. There is nothing not sweet on your tongue. Everything will be tasteful. Everything will be beautiful to look at. Everything will be good. All the five Panchabhutas will serve you as servants. So, Dhyana Mayamana மாறும். Your very perception will change. And the second rule is தயவு மயமானால் உடலே மாறும். தயவு மயமானால் உடலே மாறும். If you are all compassion towards all beings, all the 24 hours, then what happens? And he says, all that you eat, even if you eat poison, it will be transformed into Amrita. It was given in a story of Shiva. Unfortunately, the meaning was not given to us. See, as I told you the other day, knowledge is knowledge, scientific knowledge, whether it is given in the form of a fable or mystery or in the form of a formula as Einstein did. Einstein gave his relativity theory and E is equal to mc squared. Our ancient seers gave it in the form of mythologies, in stories. What was the story in which this poison could be transformed into Amrita? This is the story, you already know the story. Both Asuras and the Devas were churning the milky ocean. And they expected Amrita to come out first. Instead, what came first? It was Alagala Visham, poison of the deadliest type. And all the gods, whoever smelled it, they felt it immediately. Everybody was running out for to save his own life or to save her own life. At last, Shiva, the compassionate God, said, "Oh, all of my sons and daughters are dying. I should save them. Let me drink the whole poison." He drank the whole poison. And according to legend, the mother stopped it at the throat. And whatever says, well, it is story. Even if mother had not stopped it at his throat, he would not have died, because that moment, what was acting in his body? That compassion. He wanted to save his children at the cost of his own life. Then what happens? At that moment, compassion starts working in your body and it transforms the entire poison into nectar. What sort of poison? The deadliest poison, Alagala Visham. Alam Amudakum Annal. Swami says, Alam Amudakum Annal. So, compassion has the capacity to transform all evil, all poison into nectar. That is why Swami stresses always, Jivagarunyame Mochavitin gold. What is meant by that? If you want the key to open the door to moksha, liberation, Jivakarunya, compassion is the way. For enlightened beings, compassion is the true worship. Compassion is the true worship. Arivu vilangiya jeevargalukkellam Jivakarunyame vazhipaadu. And he says, the moment you practice Jivakarunya, you are a yogi. How? Patanjali says, what is yoga? Yoga, chitta vritti, nirodha. Stopping the thoughts is yoga. The moment you stop your mind and you think about others, you forget about your self-centeredness. When you start thinking about others, what happens? You simply bypass your mind. You don't enter into a city and get caught in a traffic. No, nothing of that sort. Even if you practice yoga for 30 years, 40 years, it will be very difficult for you to stop your thoughts. But in a second, in a moment, when you think of the welfare of other beings, you forget about yourself, and then what happens? You become a yogi, simply bypassing the mind. You don't find fault with your mind, you don't fight with it. No, nothing doing with your mind at all. And you bypass your mind and you become a yogi. And then you become a jnani. What is that? Yan janati ennum serukku arupan jnani. Vaanor uyarnda ulagam varum. I consciousness and my consciousness, if you are able to conquer these two types of consciousness, you become a wise man, Siddha. At that moment, even the angels, they were not able to do that. That is why he says, Vaanor uyarnda ulagam varum, which means Vaanor, even the angels, they were not able to conquer their own I consciousness or mind consciousness. But the moment you think of the welfare of other beings, what happens? There is no I consciousness. There is no mind consciousness. At that moment, you become a wise man, jnani. And he says, further he says, you will become a divine person when the compassion becomes complete. Avaniya Devamava. Please read that small book of Jivakarunya Olukam. It is comparable to any scripture in the world. It is the logical, scientific scripture given to the scientific age. The message contained in that book alone can save our lives. not only as humans, individuals, as families, as nations, but as a species, only the message contained in that book can save us. That is why I want to propagate the message of Swami Vadala to all the 8 billion peoples of on this planet. Why? Now every nation has got bombs, atom bombs, neutron bombs, hydrogen bombs. In the name of religion or in the name of nationality, if a war erupts, what happens? If the Third World War erupts, what will happen? The whole world will be destroyed, and they say it can be destroyed about 30,000 times. Not only human lives, all life on earth will be finished. Who are we? Who are we to kill all these beings? We are only guests, as Swami Vivekananda rightly put. We are only guests upon this planet. We came into the scene only some 2 million years ago. But life started some 3.5 billion years ago. So we are only guests. How can we don't have the right to kill the hosts? So we don't have to play with the lives of other beings. We have no right at all. That is why Swami says compassion alone is real spirituality. And he says we are conscious beings. And what is the highest point of consciousness? Compassion. Even spirituality is marginalized by Swami Vivekananda. Read his books. Even spirituality is not the whole truth, he says. Jnanam Bhattad says, Yogarunyam, he says, Swami Vivekananda even marginalizes spirituality, saying, only in the name of spirituality, all these religious people were waging wars upon one another. And you know how many people they have killed? According to statistics, people killed in wars waged by kings is much less. The number is much less, but the number of people killed by these religious wars is much more. That is why Vadala says, Sadhiyam Madamam Poi Poye Avatil Pudadi. Even Vedatri Maharshi and Vadala, following Vadala, Vedatri Maharshi also says the same thing. We are teaching pure spirituality, not religious spirituality, not tainted spirituality. New Age gurus like J. Krishnamurti, Guruji, Osho, all these people said, we teach religiousness but not religions. Because once an idea is getting organized into a religion, what happens? It becomes a center of power, and to establish that power and to keep it forever, certain posts are created, posts of power, chairs of power are created, and to sustain their own life. What do these priests do? They want to create fundamentalists, and fundamentalists make all sorts of terrorism in the world, and the world is to suffer in the name of spirituality. So, with the spirituality, compassion should be added. Without compassion, even spirituality is self-centered. It says, Moksham Mukti enbadu nilai munnu sadhanam. Why does he say that? I want liberation for myself. It is the highest form of self-centeredness. I want liberation. What is liberation? Liberation from the cycle of death and birth. It is all right. Okay, that is the purpose of life. That is the purpose of immortality. All right, but you don't care about other beings. You are not a part of the body of God. You are one cell in the body of God. I am one cell in the body of God. Those plants are cells in the body of God. So in the cosmic Purusha, in the cosmic body of God, we are all single cells. If one cell thinks that I am superior, I don't belong to this body, what is that cell called? Repeatedly I have been telling you, what is that cell called? Cancer cell. How does a cancer cell? Is it born? It is different from the body. It doesn't belong to the body. It is separate by itself. It wants to grow at the cost of other cells. Oxygen and the energy, food, energy, coming to other cells, to the neighborhood, the cells in the neighborhood, they are being eaten and absorbed by these cancer cells, and they grow enormously at the cost of other cells. We are all cancer cells. That is why we are punished and killed by God. If we are compassionate cells, we need not die. As Vadala says, மரணமிலா பெருவாழ்வில் வாழ்ந்திடலாம் கண்டீர். தப்பாலே ஜகத்தவர் சாவே துணிந்தார். Why do people die? By mistake they are dying. Now modern scientists like Ray Kurzweil and Aubrey de Grey and many people have come forward to say that by the very design of this body, it can go forever and ever, it need not die. Only by mistake they are dying. What is the mistake? Well, somebody says, everything you do is mistake. What you eat is wrong. The way you eat is wrong. What you think is wrong. The way you think is wrong. The way you sleep is wrong. The way you have sex with your wife is wrong. The way you read is wrong. Everything is wrong. We are doing everything in the wrong way. That is why we fall sick, we grow old and we die. And Swami Vadalar has given us a long list of the right things to do in our life. How to eat, what to eat, how to sleep, how many hours of sleep one should have. So all these things are exactly given by Vadalar. If you could follow the daily regimen, there is another lecture. If you ask me that, Vikram will give you. The other day I was telling you about the everyday regimen given by Vadalar, Nitya Olukam. If you follow that, you will not fall sick. And the basic thing is that Vadalar Swami says, you invite diseases into your life. That is why you have disease. You invite old age into your body. You invite death in your body. That is why they come. If you say no, I don't want you inside my house, say it assertively, say it affirmatively, and it will not come. தப்பாலே ஜகத்தவர் சாவே துணிந்தார். மறந்திருந்தீர் பீனி மூப்பில் சம்மதமோ நமக்கு. Lakshan was talking about loss of memory. Vadalar Swami says, what is the cause of disease? He has given some new points for us. About those things, modern science doesn't know. He says, every organ has got a particular type of memory and it loses its memory. And moreover, he says, see, the tail or a limb of a lizard is cut off. What happens? Just 3 weeks, it regrows itself. Many animals do that. But we have evolved beyond those animals. But we have forgotten that habit. We can regrow our last cut off animals. Limbs. We can regrow, but we have lost that memory. We can regain it, he says. Marandirindir, Pirinupil Samadamo. What did we forget? When we were in the wombs of our mothers, we knew how to grow our limbs. When we were in the stomach of our mother, with what little food, mother might, she were water. What does she know about? My mother, she never knew about what vitamins or these minerals or all these things. It's new stuff. My mother was illiterate. She was eating only boda and bhaji. She never cared about all this. So with what little food she had, we were able to grow our limbs. We were able to grow our brains. The most wonderful thing in creation of God, they say, is this human brain. And that human brain is contained in the human body. There is no computer comparable to the human body and human brain. And we learn to grow all these limbs by ourselves. Now, where is that knowledge? How do we lose it? Vadalar Swami says, if you can correctly follow the daily regimen recommended by Vadalar, you can remember those things. This loss of memory can be corrected. You can get back. Well, if you read the Buddha Sarita, story of Buddha, it is narrated that he was able, when he attained Nirvana, he was able to remember 24 previous births of his. How many? 24 births. But unfortunately, he did not remember how he developed his own limbs when he was in the womb of his mother. Because here tradition comes. Because he considered all life as dukkha. Not living upon this earth, he was intent upon leaving this earth. This earth is hell. One should get away from it as soon as possible. That was his theory. So his belief was not to live, not longevity or immortality, but death. Only after death, when one doesn't have this physical body, which is have to all sorts of illnesses, one can have a paradisical life. That was his belief. That was the belief of Vedanta also. So Buddha did not try to remember how he developed his own limbs when he was in his mother's body. And Swami Ramalinga being a Siddha, who wanted to live here, not only here, from this will be the headquarters and he will be roaming around the entire cosmos. And he says, don't waste your time on picnics going on this planet. First learn this science of immortality, transform your body, impure body into a pure body, and pure body into an Omkara body, and an Omkara body into a body of light of compassion. And then what happens? You can travel to the far corners of the universe for your picnic. Not only our solar system, galaxies and galaxies, everywhere he can go. Now he says, இப்பொழுது என்னுடைய அறிவு அண்டாண்டங்களுக்கும் அப்பால் இருக்கிறது. Can you imagine now what's happening in your house now? No, we don't have the capacity. But he says, what is taking place in galaxies? What is taking place in other universes? Now they call it multiverse. Swami Vadalar had already given us 2032 universes. In his prose writings, he lists out 2032 universes. So he had no multiverse. Now only the scientists say that this is not a universe but a multiverse. There are infinite number of dimensions. And Vadalar Swami says, if by any trick you can open your third eye, you can see all the dimensions in infinite number of dimensions in creation. That is why he wants you to open your third eye. And we are giving exercises for that. Some of you might have learned that. What I mean to say is that Vadalar Swami had seen without the aid of telescope all the galaxies and all sorts of beings living in there. And without the aid of the microscope or electron microscope, he was able to see far into the inner subatomic world. Even in 1850, when nothing was known about electrons, protons and photons on all these atomic subatomic particles, Vadalar was able to list out all these particles. A lot of science, nuclear science, is given by Vadalar. In 1850s, how was he able to see that? With what type of electron microscope or telescope? No. And he says, again, it's an invention in anatomy and physiology. No eye doctor, ophthalmologist knows about it, but Vadalar says, man is blessed by God with 4 types of eyes. This physical eyes, then mental eye, and then eye of the spirit, and then eye of compassion. Unfortunately, we have known only 2 eyes. One is partially, these 2 eyes are open, and the mental eye is partially open. Only the philosophers and scientists, they are fully opened and they have made use of it. And the eye of the spirit is not open for us. When the eye of the spirit is open, he says, you can see not only the body, not only the mind, not only the face, but you can see the very life spirit we are. How many births it has taken, how many births it is yet to have, yet to take, and how long it will stay in this body, all these things you will come to know when the eye of spirit is open. And then when the eye of compassion is opened, he says, you can see without the aid of telescopes or microscopes inside the atomic world and as well as the galaxies. Far beyond the galaxies, you can see these eyes are capable of seeing all these things. Though this human body has got the full potential of seeing all through the universe. And finally, one basic truth has to be established. That is, why did the Greeks who invented science did not opt for technology? This is a very basic question in science. Why did Indian scientists like Aryabhatta, there were great mathematicians and there were great astronomers and there were great siddhas, why did they choose science as a way of life? Why did they rely upon gadgets as we do? Because they had understood one point which modern scientists do not understand. What is that? All the gadgets are created from the human brain, as Dakshan was telling me. Yes. And what is the brain? It's an instrument of consciousness. So if you can develop your consciousness to the utmost level, this consciousness itself can act as your telescope. This consciousness itself has act as your microscope. It can do the work of all the gadgets. Vallala Swami says, when you are full of compassion, what will happen? He says, if you want to give some donation, say, or a book to somebody in India, you don't have to send it by post. You can give it from here. How is it possible? Lord Krishna was able to give saris to Draupadi. We read in the Puranas. And Swami says, it is not Purana, it is possible. How is it possible? Now you are sending your message by cell phones. You are making use of the vibrations of the air. 2G, 3G, 4G, all these are the mediums of vibrations in the air. Vallala Swami says, what is meditation? Entering into pure space. Now we are beings of medium of air. Go beyond the medium of air and enter into the medium of space. Learn to manipulate space. Then what happens? The obstacles of, the limitations of time and space are not there. With the compassion, you conquer the limitations of time and space. There is no space. When you enter into space, what happens is that you got the capacity to overcome the limitations of time and space. Time is created by air, by your breath. Distance is created by air. When you master space, that is the most important thing. That is why I say Vallala was a saint, scientist saint. Now mankind, where does it stand? In the medium of air. That is why Swami prays to God. Oh God, when are you going to transform this body of air into a body of space? என்று அருள்வாய் கதியாலாகிய உடலை காற்றாலாகிய உடலை கதியுடல் ஆமாரே. When you enter into meditation and enters into samadhi, what happens? Even your breath stops. But you don't die. Your breath stops. That is what happens at Kriyalism. Your breath stops, your thought stops, everything, every action in your body stops, but still you are alive. How are you alive? You have entered into the space. Vallala Swami defines it scientifically. Says, இன்று வருமோ நாளைக்கு வருமோ அல்லது மற்றென்று வருமோ அரியேன் என்போவே துன்று மல வெம்மாயை அற்று சயின்ஸ் வெளிக்கு உள்வெளி கடந்து சும்மா இருக்கும் சுகம். சும்மா இருக்கும் சுகம். That is samadhi state. And how to attain it? வெளிக்கு உள்வெளி கடந்து, you have to enter into the inner space. How many spaces are there? 16 varieties of spaces are there. 16 varieties. So, how great a yogi you are, how to measure it? Exactly you can measure. How many varieties of spaces you have conquered? How deep you have gone into with your consciousness? Measure it. And Swami lists out all the 16 spaces in his own poem. So, it's the revelation for the new age. Our poem is the revelation for the new scientific age. Swami lists out 16 varieties of space. If you enter into meditation, and if you are able to cross all the 16 spaces, and finally you can see Arupperum Jodi. Arupperum Jodi, the dance of Nataraja, the cosmic dance of Nataraja in the form of light, is beyond all these 16 spaces. What is in between God and us? There are 16 varieties of space. So, if you are able to cross over all these 16 varieties of space in your meditation, you can see God. Once you see God in the form of Arupperum Jodi, what happens? Your very body is transformed into Arupperum Jodi. Itrai Podude Arun Jodi. That was what happened to Swami Ramalinga in 1874. On Thaipusam day, his whole body was transformed into Arun Jodi. His mind was transformed into Arun Jodi. His psyche was transformed into Arun Jodi. His spirit was transformed into Arun Jodi. And he became exactly like his father, Arun Jodi. So that is the ultimate aim. That is why he says, the only aim in life is to see Arupperum Jodi inside your body. You go to the temple, worship your God, have His blessings, have His food, everything is all right. But finally, what is going to give you the ultimate form of divinity, the form of God Himself? To see Arupperanjodi inside your forehead, in between your eyebrows and behind it, in the place where you pronounce the letter. I taught you the meditation, Akka Yoga meditation. By practicing that, you can enter into the inner meditations. Before that, well, it's an oceanic subject, a very vast subject. But basically, what is enlightenment of consciousness? I'll tell you. Please say with me, Turiya is the door to wisdom. Please say with me. Turiya is the door to wisdom. You must understand this word Turiya, it is taken from Mandukya Upanishad. Please refer to Mandukya Upanishad, you will know more about this science of enlightenment. What is enlightenment? Now our consciousness is dark. It is fragmented. Now we are passing through three states of consciousness. Now we are awake, wakeful state. And during night, we enter into sleep. And during sleep, we have dreams. So this frog of consciousness is constantly jumping into, Mandukya means frog. So this frog of consciousness is constantly jumping from one state of consciousness to another. Unfortunately, we don't know that. We are three persons. The names are given. We don't have time to enter into all those things. Even God does it. It's called Virat Purusha, Hiranyagarbha, Ishvara, and Brahman. That's a different story. It will take a lot of time for me to explain all these things to you. So forget about it. Now, the basic thing you have to know is that we are at the wakeful state. But are we awakened fully like the Buddha? No. The Buddha means fully awakened person, 100% awakened consciousness, and he never falls back into sleep or darkness. Sleep is darkness. Death is total darkness. God is total light. Our life is 50% light. So, what is our travel? From darkness to light. What did the Upanishadic Rishi pray? Let me take, O God, take me from Asat to Sat, Satoma, Satgamaya. Take me from matter to spirit. Another, the second line goes like this: Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya. From darkness to light. And the final line is: take me from death to deathlessness. Mrityoma Amritam Gamaya. There are three forms of darkness. One is in matter, one is in mind, ignorance. Another thing is in life, that is your Maranam, death. So the three things we have to attain were already spoken of by the Rishi. So we have to attain spirit, we have to attain light, we have to attain immortality. Now, these three states, you keep watching them. You start with a dream journal. That is my way of attaining mukti. You start with a dream journal. Keep a journal before entering into your sleep. Make a resolution. I will remember all that I am going to dream. And first thing in the morning, you put it down on your paper. For certain days or even for certain weeks, you will not be able to remember what you dreamt. But at last, you will remember everything. After 6 months or 1 year's practice, you will remember everything. You have a very big book of your dreams. So you are able to remember all that is taking place in your dreams. So you are able to master the state of dream. And then the second stage is to enter into the wakeful state. Now you are listening to me. As you are listening to me, now watch your mind. There will be other thoughts going on. Your reaction to it. Oh, this man has already told this. Why is he repeating it? You have such a thought, don't you? Some other thoughts will be there. So watch your reactions also. Not only the stimulus coming from the outside world, but your reaction also to it. So it should be, now it is a one-way traffic. You are focusing your attention upon me, one-way traffic. Now make it two ways. Focus your attention upon me as well as upon your reaction of the mind. Then what happens? Slowly you will be able to remember everything even at the wakeful state. Let me tell you a small story. What happened in my life? Otherwise you won't be able to remember. See, sometime back when TV was introduced some 20 years ago in India, I had bought a TV. And I'm very fond of my children. I don't hit my, I don't blame them, I don't scold them, I don't even beat them. If anybody, even the teacher, if the teacher slaps the boy, I will go and fight with the teacher. I am so fond of my children. And unfortunately, that boy, he swept the TV from the stand and it fell down on the floor and it broke into pieces suddenly. And at that time, I was returning from my jewelry shop and my wife, well, she was at that time as I am now. And I was her size now, it has changed now. I was 50, I was a bodybuilder. I got angry immediately, I wanted, I actually slept, I took her upon in my hands and I was about to throw her on the stairs. What would have happened? She would have been dead and I would have entered into a jail. But at that moment, this form of wakefulness, self-awareness, it only saved me. At that moment, suddenly, my conscience told me, well, she, out of anger, she slapped your son. All right, what are you doing now? You are doing also the same thing. Out of anger, you are going to kill that girl. Suddenly, I held her in my arms, and she got frightened. Something has happened to this man. Something is wrong with his brain, and she started. So what I mean is that if you are wakeful, so many crimes could be stopped. Every moment you should watch your inner reaction. Unfortunately, we identify ourselves with our minds. No, we are not our minds, it's only an instrument like our computer. We are not our bodies, it's only like our cars. So this body, this mind, we should be constantly being aware of the reactions. Then the next, it's very difficult, you must be aware of your sleep. Tungaman tungi, chogam peruvadu, that is samadhi. Your body will go to sleep, your mind will go to sleep, but your flame of attention will be there. Ramana Maharshi, Ramakrishna, Vivekananda, Vadalar, Vedatri Maharshi, they never slept. They will be simply lying down. They will be simply lying down. But the flame of attention will be always there. No cessation of consciousness. What is meant by enlightenment? Our consciousness is dark now. You are permanently expelling the darkness once for all. Once for all. That is why they say in Brahmaloka, the sun always is shining. That means your consciousness is always light. There is no cessation of light. There is no cessation of consciousness. That is why Swami Ramalinga says, no sleep, no samadhi, no death. These three things he doesn't accept because there is cessation of consciousness. Tailatara, like oil pouring. If you pour oil from a bottle, what happens? Is there any vacuum in between? No. There is no emptiness. It constantly pours. There is no cessation in between. Like that, your consciousness should always be going on all through the 24 hours, and you should develop such a witness consciousness. You are watching me, like that you should also watch you as a third person. That's what in the Gita Krishna says, witness consciousness, Sakshi Bhava. If you can do that, this fourth state of consciousness called Turiya will be permanently established. Then you are a wise man, then you are a man. Not until that. Not by giving speeches, not by reading your Gita, not by reading your Upanishads or the Vedas, no, not by reading your Bible. If you are able to create that fourth state of consciousness, and if you are able to retain it all the 24 hours of a day, even at the time of death, even at the time of sleep, then you are liberated. So this Turiya, and Swami Ramalinga says there are 4 levels of Turiya. It's a long story. Deva Turiya, Paraturiya, Siva Turiya, Sutta Siva Turiya. Nobody, to my knowledge, even Tirumoolar describes us about 3 forms of Turiya: Deva Turiya, Paraturiya, and Siva Turiya. Even Mandika Upanishad came only up to that, but Vadalar Swami was given a blessing of the 4th state of Siddha Siva Turiya Bindam. So he has given us 43 alternate states of consciousness. No Freud, as far as I know, no Sigmund Freud, no Jung, no Ken Wilber, no psychologists of the West knows about all these 43 alternate states of consciousness. So everything is already given there. So enlightenment of consciousness is forever. That is the challenge before our lives. That is our lifetime task. Not only that, Vedanta, Buddhism, and Saiva Siddhanta, they all stopped with the mind, enlightenment of consciousness. But this coin has got another side, which is the body. What is the body? Expression of consciousness. What sort of body you get? You get a body according to the degree or level of your consciousness. Why does a cow has got a cow's body? Because its consciousness has got only 5 senses. It is limited. Why do you have a human body? Because you have got more consciousness, so you have got thought and you are given a human body. So, who determines what type of body you get? Your consciousness. So, expand your consciousness, enhance your consciousness and enlighten your consciousness fully and totally and permanently. So, this is the way. And how to transform your body into a light body? That is the question answered by the Siddhas and fully developed by Swami Ramadeva. Now we have come to that stage. So, Vadala Swami has given us a complete system of foods and nutrition. As far as I know, no nutrition scientist knows about this. He has given us 5 laws of nutrition. What sort of foods one should eat? He has given us a complete list. You can take it from Vikram. And the second stage is that, see, he has given us 5 Sanjeevi herbs. By taking which you can be free from disease, old age, and even death. But you should take it regularly. One is Karisale Eclecta alba. See, this is a very important one. And he says, all of our foods, they enter into our Annamaya Kosha, this physical body only. But Vadala Swami says, this Karisale, Mundegariyal Anithukum Idu Unavakum. See, we have got 5 bodies according to the Taittiriya Upanishad. Annamaya Kosha, food body, and then Pranamaya Kosha, energy body, and then mind body, Manomaya Kosha, and then Vijnanamaya Kosha, intelligence body, and then Anandamaya Kosha, bliss body. Beyond that is Atman, and beyond that is God. So we have 5 bodies, and this is the only food that can be food for all the 5 bodies. Our wheat, our rice, and all other foodstuffs, they are food only for our body, this physical body. But this Karisale will enter into all the 5 bodies. You see, it has got so many. It will regulate your body. This obesity can be controlled by this, and too much of sleep, too much of hunger, all these diseases will be cured by this Karisale. And one more thing, see, the strange case. A pregnant lady, she had some kind of tumor in her womb. How to treat it? It was very difficult. And she was given Karisale for a month, just a pinch every morning. You know what happened? After that, there was no tumor and the baby was naturally born. This happened in Chennai. It was reported to me. So, this is a wonderful herb. Please take it. Just say $1. For $1, you can get it. You can contact a friend. This is very important for meditation and concentration, particularly for the IT people. It will give you a lot of concentration, and you can easily enter into meditation. Just by taking this Tuduvalai, you can easily enter into meditation. And again, the Tuduvalai is very good for sinus, asthma, and all sorts of respiratory systems. This is also a respiratory system, and particularly for rheumatoid arthritis. According to allopathic system, they say rheumatoid arthritis is incurable, but according to Vadala, this Musumusukai will cure rheumatoid arthritis and all these Vada diseases. Vallare. This is one of the most important things. You should never make a mistake of avoiding it, because this will activate your pineal gland and make you into a siddha. You can have even paranormal powers. You can have paranormal powers. Vallare is a very important thing. It boosts your memory, it strengthens your memory. Here, this is called Kaya Siddhi Mulige. It is very much available here in America. It is very much available. You can take as much as you want. Instead of tamarind you are using in your rasam, you must use this pudiyar. Vallala Swami recommends it like anything. You can take as much as you want. It will cleanse your body, it will strengthen your body, it will give you longevity. It's a wonderful herb. Okay. Method of eating. Method of eating means okay. Well, it's a vast ocean-like science. I have given a number of lectures on that. All those things are available on CDs and DVDs. You can take them and listen to them and learn all about these things. We don't have time for all that. Anyhow. அருட்பெருஞ்சோதி அருட்பெருஞ்சோதி தனிப்பெரும் கருணை அருட்பெருஞ்சோதி எல்லா உயிர்களும் இன்புற்று வாழ்க வள்ளல் மலரடி வாழ்க வாழ்க.
Thank you so much, Eknath. That was a wonderful speech. I know we couldn't cover everything that we wanted to, but there's still time. We may get to hear a little bit more from him tomorrow. I would like to call Dr. Shan to give a token of appreciation.